TSW, you are now live from what I call the spaceship. The SSTSW. I just made that up right now. So, I'm open to suggestions. But all that to say, welcome to a bitch with 3 cameras. I didn't need 3 cameras. They didn't have to give me 3 cameras. And I truthfully don't genuinely need it. I mean, I feel like I look like 3 different people. But, yeah, hi. I am starting a podcast. And if you've been here from the jump, and I mean from the jump, like Be Easy days, then you would know that we've done this before, but on SoundCloud and at a way, way, way different level. And the good news is that this also means that there is a relaunch of SEV'N Radio. And, a part of me was like, fuck, like I should get ready and like, put on a completely different get up and, get ready, because if we do a fit check real quick, look. Fuck, sorry I'm squinting. I don't have my fucking glasses on. Like, I am just... I'm just not done up right now. And listen, in the city of Los Angeles, if you have a podcast and you do not have a, Nikki Tutorials 2016 level cut eye crease, you basically do not deserve the platform that you have. And, that's just not the case. Like, I just got out of the house. Like, I was just like, I need to fucking go do some shit that's, like, creative. I'm redoing The Artist Way right now. Let me grab it out of my backpack. Oh, my God. I've always wanted to do one of those interviews where they're like, what's in your bag? There's too much stuff in my bag, as well as, like, paraphernalia. So let's not do that right now. But one of the days on the pod. Goldfish colors. Because I'm a fucking child. This motherfucking book right here, okay? I'm redoing The Artist Way right now for, I think, the second time. I've only fully finished it once, I believe. And it completely changed my life, as it usually does for people. But right now, I'm on week 3, which unfortunately is not the 3rd week since I picked up the book. But the great news is that in this week 3, it literally talks about that in terms of like recovering a sense of power and, that growth is non-linear. Yeah, here's the actual passage, which I will read to you. Growth is an erratic forward movement. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember that and be very, very gentle with yourself. A creative recovery is a healing process. You are capable of great things on Tuesday, but on Wednesday you may slide backward. This is normal. Growth occurs in spurts. You will lie dormant sometimes. Do not be discouraged. Think of it as resting. Very often, a week of insights will be followed by a week of sluggishness. The morning pages will seem pointless. They are not. What you are learning to do, writing them even when you are tired and they seem dull, is to rest on the page. This is very important. And so, that being said, right now I am recovering a sense of my own creativity and trying to take away what feels like such a harsh, I don't know, it's just really difficult sometimes to not think too hard about the perception of everything and, looking like a tryhard, because it's cringe. And people are going to tell you that you're cringe for giving a fuck about shit now. And especially if you give a fuck about it and no one's, like, watching it. No one's engaging with it on the rip, And the good news is that I'm fucking dope as hell. And I know that people believe in me. So I have a feeling that this shit will take off. But I find myself in moments of, like, stagnancy. And I consciously know that the only answer is to get myself out of it. I'm the only person who can save me. I'm the only person who knows what the question or the answer is to begin with. So it's like, okay, fine. What do we do with that? And I'm trying to find a way to describe this without being too interpersonal. But the last year has been really, really fucking brutal on a nigga. And I've been finding it really hard to stay in touch with my creativity. And you know what? On the back end, it may not look like that because I've been, maintaining, a sense of busyness, and I don't know. I'm still out and about and doing shit, and I am very much like still on the front, For You page, and like, it doesn't look like I'm dormant. I'm not dormant. But spiritually, I have been dormant. And when you're spiritually dormant, that means that you are also not in full conjunction with your creativity and thus your art. And my art has only ever been about being as truthful, as vulnerable, as honest, as expressive, as explorative as possible. And during that period of time, I was just really not trying to look at anything. I was not trying to break anything down. It just all hurt a little bit too fucking much. And I was playing that whole, it's the trope of like your funniest friend shit. Like, oh man, like it was just a nightmare. I was unemployed. My grandmother was passing from a pretty long battle of cancer. I was in a new relationship that, was throwing me some curveballs, and I just could not deal. And in the process of me, not even wanting to deal, I don't know, it got really sticky. It got really, really fucking sticky, dude. Because how can I try to sit down and create when the only thing I've ever really created about is like what's going on? If I'm not in a headspace or in a mood where I'm willing to look at myself and look at the issue, in what fucking world am I gonna be like, oh hell yeah, dude, let me fucking like beat packs in the email, let's run it? Fuck no, I'm not gonna do that shit. I couldn't if I tried, because everywhere you go, there you are, and I was not ready to be there. And over the past few months, I feel like I've come back to a sense of recovery in a way. How do I even describe it? I would say that in the time that I lost myself, and I know that sounds harsh, but it's genuinely the truth. In the time that I lost myself, and also in losing myself, lost the ability to express myself as well. It was nearly a impossible task to ask me to get in the booth. Now, I could write for days. I don't have any problem being aware or nonetheless honest about situations and feelings that I have, and environments that I might be placed in. Like, I'm very good at that. I'm rather good at that. But it's the act of engaging in the full creativity of it and being like, okay, now I've said this big thing, this big feeling, usually out loud and to myself, but now I have to get ready to like actually say it out loud, not just like write it on a page and like put it there, but to fully and totally release the idea. And the deeper I get into the expression, especially when I was in that mind state, whoa, dude, you just meet a lot of resistance. Like, I'd get in the booth and I'd feel completely ready until I hit record, and then I hear myself play it back, and I can just tell that I'm not.
Session ended at 3 p.m.?
No.
Yep. I'll take your word for it.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. I got interrupted, but when you're in that pocket where you are a creative whose whole entire creativity is kind of banking on your ability to be honest with yourself and others, you kind of can't make anything. And so I was in that pocket for a while because I was just really struggling to, I present myself in an authentic way in my life as well as on the microphone, because the microphone is really just an extension of me. It's like my intrusive, deeper side that, I feel like it's rather encrypted. You guys wouldn't have any fucking clue because you only know so much about me. And, that even goes for people that I know in real life. Like, you think you know me, you do not know me. I'm telling you, and I'm not trying to be, some mysterious fucking nonchalant dreadhead, but I mean that in a serious way. There is so much depth to all of this shit and hella nuance, and I know that I'm outgoing, but I'm a rather private person, and the truth is that I think the only real true representation of who I am as a person is going to be on the other end of my catalog. If you sit with my lyrics, and if you had any personal context for who I am or any of the people in my life, then you'll pick up what I'm putting down. And so, when these tracks and these albums and these features are kind of like time lapses and glimpses into literal pieces of my personal timeline, speaking on literal things that are going on, literal breakups, relationships, friendships, all of these different things that I breach the topic of are usually so illusory that it, feels like I have the safety net of, it's kind of like a disguise, but it doesn't feel that way on the front end always, especially because, again, it takes that honesty. And when you can't access that honesty long enough to get to a point where there's a well-rounded song, then you kind of, you lose it. Or you find something, but it doesn't resonate with you because it's not the truth, dude. It's not the fun. Why would you resonate with something that's not the full, honest truth of something? Or at least, why would I? That's just so outside of me. And so, circling back to my point, during this, period in my life, I'd say from the top of the year to only a few weeks ago, if I'm honest, I was just kind of floating through. And, in moments where I tried to be honest and found honesty, it was nice, but it was short-lived. And it built this rapport within myself that I needed to kind of gatekeep or feign honesty to survive. And or not even feign honesty. I'm always honest, but I think I was operating under a type of performance that was essential at the time for my survival. And, that's in a few different contexts. I think, which, I won't even take the time to break down, but creatively, it's also affected as well, because if I'm presenting as something other than myself and all of my music has ever been about myself and my experiences, where do you go from there? What, do you start cosplaying? So it's coming back to the artist way and giving it, my best shot to commit to has already changed the game for me a little bit. I feel more in touch with my creativity. I mean, I started producing again. It's taking a little bit more elbow grease than I would like, and I'm not loving that, but that's just kind of how the fuck it goes, dude. And I'm willing to stick it through. I've done harder things, and honestly, this isn't hard. It should be play. And that's what this whole little shit is all about. And so to any creative or any, human being out there, that's just wants to get in touch with your artistic side, and it doesn't even have to just be music or like the physical arts. This also applies to people who like to garden or, you know, writers, shit like that. I don't know, I just feel like it's a really important resource, and if it's helped me, it can definitely help you. So I don't know, all of that to say, like, it can be really dark, friends. And, you know, most of us are working jobs that we don't like, unable to pay bills that we used to or, you know, could never really fully afford. And the world politically, don't even get me started. Like, we've got a lot going on. And so I think the more that we can try to stay within community and to stay within the idea that it doesn't have to be hard, and that creativity and true expression is the real only way through, then we'll probably survive. You know, I think communities like people in New York have such an unexplicable, beautiful dynamic of community where people can kind of just coagulate and what's the word? Like whirlpool, this like energy of I got you, I got you, I got you, I get you, I get you, I get you. And then you see the art that comes out of that place. Like, people uproot their lives to go over there in the same way they do for LA, and it's all for good reason. I genuinely feel like the more that we allow ourselves to play and to be honest about what we need, and to I think we just gotta cut it out with the whole, like, being hard on ourselves and comparing and following trends and doing that whole thing. I think the more that we just actually do what we would like to do, that is where we shine. I've always wanted a podcast. I've always wanted to release music. I've always wanted to, you know, be multifaceted. And the only thing that's fully ever stopped me is myself, and the rhetoric that I don't do those things, or people don't think that I do those things. Even though anytime I've tried, I've done it remotely successfully, even though success isn't even what it's all about. It has nothing to do with it, pretty much. So all that to say, I'm here today in the podcast studio for the first and a half time, and I'm here to let you know that I'm going to continue to do this. If not only for me to show the rest of you that showing up just looks different for everybody. And as long as you're showing the fuck up, that's all that matters, actually. Because there's so many people that conceptualize and talk about showing up and then can't really ever fully make it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's okay. But I think there's power in deciding. I think there's power in choosing to give something a shot that you're not normally comfortable with or already good at. I think it takes balls, and I have balls. One other thing that I will talk about is I had a conversation with my mom a few weeks ago, and she's such a brilliant lady. If any of you are literally in my life and not just on a parasocial level, you'll know that Lisa is a powerful, beautiful fucking lady who only speaks power and truth into people. And I was telling her about my frustrations, as I typically do, because she's just a beautiful confidant. And I was like, dude, I just feel like I'm behind. I feel like everything's caving in on me. Like, this shit is hard, and I wish it wasn't. And every time I talk like that, she always hits me with Tiana, you don't even understand, like, how good you have it, dude. Like, you don't even understand how far along in this shit you really are. Like, take it back from the beginning. Like, you've been doing this shit for a minute, and you've done a lot. She was like, let's start from the top, okay? Manifested thousands of dollars to get yourself there in the first place. I will expand on the concept and story time of how I got to LA from Illinois one day. She was like, you know, you manifested your way out there. You met a group of people. You found a way to stay. You got a job. You got your, at the time, dream job at a massive recording studio and met some of your, you know, idols and got to have cool conversations. You know, made friends. You traveled. You did a bunch of shit. You know, produced another project. You dropped singles. You networked. You started doing shows. You know, you did Coke Studio. You're part of the fucking Recording Academy. Like, I think I just got jaded. And I don't think I can call it being jaded, because I don't acknowledge it enough to be jaded by it. How do you be jaded by something you kind of just pretend did not happen and it's not real? Anyways, guys, I urge people to, like, okay, this is what I'm gonna say, to try to wrap this up, even though I really enjoy talking, and I have the spot for more time, but I really need to print some resumes. Blah blah blah. Sorry, ADHD. All right, follow me. So here's the situation. One thing that people ask me more than anything is, T, how do you so consistently post content? Like, what are you doing to get yourself out there like that? Like, how are you batching it out? I'm seeing your shit all the time, blah, blah, blah. Or even just like, T, how are you releasing your music? And let me just say, 99.7% of the time, almost everything is done last minute, and just because that's the end of the sentence, like, for the love of the fucking game. And the beautiful thing about all of this is that when it comes to me, I see an idea and I always just want to kind of go for it. And when it comes to specifically social media, that was a little bit different of a ride, because I really fucking hated, and still kind of do, being on social media, like being on Instagram and TikTok, like, as an artist. And people who know me, like, personally know that. Like, that was a really, really big hill that I had to get over. And within the last few months, I finally got over that, because I had a job where I was just kind of fucking around on the clock, because all I had to do was sit there and kind of wait for people to come. Newsflash, they did not. And so I just made content, and I slowly figured out what the fuck worked and what didn't. And the more that I started making the content and the more that I was consistent with that, it was so much easier to, like, just do it and to just show up and to try shit and see what works, and to get to a point where I felt like if it was like a box that I had to check of, okay, I need to get content out, I need to get things done, then I would just open the phone and do it, instead of it being like a whole, oh my god, I hate posting on Instagram, and what are people gonna think, and what if it doesn't get any likes, and what if it doesn't get any views. And here's the thing, is that the time will pass anyways, and whether or not you posted that video really shouldn't be a big concern in the near future, unless you still haven't done it already, and then it becomes more shame just compounded on itself for no fucking reason. And then, you know, you start feeding into these thoughts and this rhetoric of like you not being enough, or, you know, you just not being built for this shit, or whatever the fuck the situation is. And I think that's always bullshit, and it's always just noise. And so when people ask me that, you know, T, how are you fucking doing that? I say, dude, I just started fucking doing it. I always hated it. And literally nothing fucking changed other than me just waking up one day and being like, okay, whatever, fine. Okay, fine. And I think the more that you walk into situations like that, and I'm not even just talking about in terms of like social media content or, you know, music careers, I'm talking about like in general in life. I think the more that you show up and you go, okay, fine, and then you just follow through, that is where the magic happens. When you're just like, fuck it, let me see what the fuck happens. If this is where we're gonna be at and this is what I have to do, let me see if I can mix in what I want to do as well, because I have control here. And that's always where the magic is. That's always where my pocket resides. And so it's not some big grand master plan and like, oh, the fucking huge network and all this other bullshit. It's never that. It's almost never that. Every single time, without fail, it is the smaller steps and the smaller decisions and just a grander commitment to yourself. And I'm sorry if that sounds kind of esoteric and confusing and like I'm just blowing smoke up your and my ass, but that's just not the situation. Like, okay, babe, you want to make... what's your ultimate goal? You want to be paid to, you know, hang out with your friends and to wear cool clothes or to make music or to make art or to do something of that nature, then you have to start somewhere. You have to build that type of rapport. It does not happen overnight. And let's say you're like, oh, but I just want a team. I just want a manager. Your team is going to tell you to do what you should be doing in that moment. And the best part is that when no one's watching, that's why there's like the phrase dance like no one's watching, right? If no one's watching, what's the point in like throwing a fuss? There is no point. Like dude, it's just you, right? And then the good news is that the more that you do it, the more that you fuck up, and the more that you do it, the more that you learn. And so as these drills keep going, and let's just say we're going by the rhetoric of the 3 posts a day thing on TikTok. If you're posting 3 times a day and you're doing different things or the same thing, you know, changing captions, doing different sounds, it's an experiment. And in that experiment, you know, you slowly build a control group as well as train yourself how to be reliable and how to show up for that shit. So aside from it just being something like generally algorithmic and like, okay, how do I get through this so-and-so, you know, view jail or whatever as they like to call it, it becomes more so, okay, what do I resonate with? Over time, since you're just doing shit instead of just talking about doing shit, you can literally feel in your body and through, you know, all of the external validation or lack thereof as well, in which direction to move, because you are finding out way more clearly what you do like, do not like, do want, do not want. And I think it's so much better to try to lean in the direction of leaning towards what you do want and not what you don't want, because when you do that, you're only going to kind of become a megaphone for attracting that type of stuff because it's what you're hyper focused on. And I know that from experience, especially circling back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago in terms of like that era I was in a few weeks ago, where it was just gloom and fucking doom, was because I was just so all encompassed in the negativity and the misery of the experiences I was having, instead of thinking about the things that I did want and trying to attract that. Not even trying to attract that. Let me backpedal on that phrase. I do not like when people speak like that. It's not manifestation. It's not like this woo-ha thing. It's just like, dude, show up, be yourself, and that is divine, period. All of the bells and whistles is a bunch of fucking white savior bullshit, and I think that as long as you're being true to yourself, that is when everything falls into place. And I was being disingenuous to myself. I was putting myself in those situations and forcing myself to feel like shit, and then trying to find a solution based off of like vague manifestations and shit, when it's really just like, okay, I feel in my body that I do not like this. I feel in my body that I do not want this. And that usually means that you need to divert, set a boundary, do something. Something has to change. You cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. The definition of ignorance is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that's all I was doing. And so when it comes to books like these, like The Artist's Way, where you are peeling back the lens of yourself and of your deeper subconscious mind and getting to the shadows, it becomes easier to return to art. Because again, art is all about truth, or the exposure of truth, or what we think the truth is. And there's a million learned beliefs that a bitch has. I grew up poor in the middle of fucking Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, in a single-parent household, and I wouldn't have known the difference. I had a beautiful life. I had people around me who cared for me and fed me and clothed me and got me gifts and got me fucking fashion games on the Nintendo DS and, let me have birthday parties. Like, I was not without. And that's just my point, is that, like, even though on paper you may not have whatever you feel like you might need to start some shit or to do some shit, like, let's say you wanted to start a podcast. Oh, I don't have editing software. Oh, whatever, man. Just do it. Early YouTube was people showing up, just recording shit on their computer and then just dropping it. Even now, like, that's the whole situation. People are building their entire careers off of that shit. That's what Twitch is all about. That's what podcasts are all about. It's just stream of consciousness. It's just people kind of making their decision and choosing to, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I just feel like, and sorry, I'm gonna suck my own dick and toot my own horn here, but I just feel like I am too brilliant of a person, too kind, too intelligent, and far too motherfucking resourceful to keep showing up and doing things that I think I have to do. No. Have to do? No. In exchange for things that call to me and that are important and integral and, like, laying ground for shit in my community or, with myself, like, for the art. And so that's why I'm here. I just, like, if I can do other shit that I deem, like, stupid and, like, a waste of time, like working jobs that I don't like, or entertaining the energy of people who I don't resonate with at all. If I can show up for that, why wouldn't I show up for something as, one, harmless as this, and two, is truthful? I am always talking about how displaced I feel in the environment that I've kind of had to build for myself of working a part-time job that is not at all related to music, and, kind of how it shakes my identity a little bit and I feel misplaced. Well, maybe if I spent more of my time doing those things and talking about those things, that it would just become my reality. Those things would start to appear, synchronicities and all that. And the beautiful thing is that I think the more that I continue to do that and to follow that, like, gut reaction to do that, that more of you might also feel the same thing. And, maybe be inspired. And, I know I'm a small creator. Like, I have the discernment to understand that. But I've had conversations with people that I know and don't know, in person and virtually, who have expressed countlessly how dope it is and inspiring it is to see me do my thing. And that every time that I show up, it pushes them to do the same. And so although, I am just wandering into this podcast like, oh, this is something fun to do, I'm also thinking about you too. And I'm not trying to sound like an egotistical asshole when I say that. I'm not saying that you need me. I'm just saying perspective is everything. And if I'm having these conversations with the homies and it's meaning some shit, and if I'm talking to strangers at my shows and it's meaning some shit, then I feel like the general population who might stumble across me algorithmically or whatever the situation is would love that shit too. And the good news is that it goes bigger than the whole podcast room shit. It's also like, this is about music. This is about art. So ideally, I would bring other people into the situation and interview people about their projects and talk to people about, you know, what they have going on as well, and how they feel about concepts like these, and host SEV'N Radio in here and get music going. And I was going to say it could all be so beautiful, but it literally already is, and that's just the point. And so before I leave you, I'm going to try to wrap this up in a way that feels like meaningful. I think that sometimes... Sorry, let me switch. I did not need 3 mics in here. Sorry, 3 cameras. Alright, man. Listen up. Pretend we're on FaceTime or whatever. Alright, fine, I'll switch back. So it feels like we're on FaceTime. This feels like, you know, those Apple Music Zane Lowe interviews where they're like, hey man, thanks for tuning in. And they're like, yeah, thank you, Zane. And it's like 8-bit. Anyways. Sorry. Fuck, I'm getting distracted. Back to the regular shit. I can't be trusted. Chasing a dream is not meant to be practical. That is why they call it a dream. It's not meant to be easy, but it is true. And I also don't even necessarily believe that it's like chasing. I think it's more so discovering, stumbling upon, accepting, welcoming it into your life type of situations. And as I find myself wandering into what seems to be kind of a new world for myself, I urge you to do the same, and to also offer me grace, and to offer your community grace. And I don't know, I just feel like as an artist in today's age, there's only so much that you can do, there's only so much that you can fucking say, but fuck that. I think, like, I have a lot to say and I have a lot to do. I think there's a lot missing in the world and in the cultural zeitgeist, and I've got fucking filler for that. I've got Botox for that. But for now, what's most important is this rebirth and my decision to kind of build something new. Because I think that it could change my life. It could probably change yours. You know, advice is really helpful. Everyone needs somebody sometimes. And right now, I need creativity. I need you. And I'm sure you probably need some of this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is read this passage from The Artist's Way that I've highlighted just to wrap this bitch up. I don't know, I really appreciate you tuning in, if anybody is still here. And I don't know, I think that this could be a beautiful thing. And I need something to fucking do, dude. And I'm just too brilliant to just be like spiritually flipping Berbers. Berbers, dude, fuck. Burgers. Oh my god. Alright, here we are. Page 54 of The Artist's Way. This is from week 2. And this is circling back to the conversation I was having earlier with you guys about, you know, vulnerability and honesty and pain and all of those things in conjunction with art. Pain had become something more valuable. Experience. Writing about attention, I see that I have written a great deal about pain. This is no coincidence. It may be different for others, but pain is what it took me to teach me to pay attention. In times of pain, when the future is too terrifying to contemplate and the past too painful to remember, I've learned to pay attention to right now. The precise moment I was in was always the only safe place for me. I'm going to say that one more time. The precise moment I was in was always the only safe place for me. Each moment, taken alone, was always bearable. In the exact now, we are always all right. Yesterday, the marriage may have ended. Tomorrow, the cat may die. The phone call from the lover for all my waiting may not ever come. But just at the moment, just now, that's all right. I'm breathing in and out. Realizing this, I began to notice that each moment was not without its beauty. And that's so fucking true, friends. So I urge you, like on a genuine level, what is it that you feel you are divinely displacing from yourself? Through, be it not being able to alchemize pain into experience or whatever the situation is. What's something that you can do for yourself this week to challenge that side of yourself, coax that side out? Because the real honest truth is that you deserve, fully and truthfully, you deserve that. You deserve to be free. You deserve to make money off of things that you give a fuck about. You deserve to be safe emotionally, physically, creatively. You deserve to foster relationships with people who can mirror that back to you. And I think that the only way that we can get to that is by creating those spaces. And I really admire a lot of people who create those spaces. All my music curation homies, That Good Shit, I Breathe Music All Day, just to name a few, Diabolical Discs. These are all people who are really constantly working their asses off, putting on for the people while also leaning into personal fulfillment and fruition. And I think there's just something so fucking powerful about that. And there's a reason why that type of shit sticks. And even though I've been a part of the conversation in different ways, it's time for me to really enter the picture, because I think I am realizing I actually deserve to be in the conversation. So that being said, I really appreciate you taking the time to tap in with me today while I do something new. And I will be showing back up. I will be consistent. And I think that I know that it's gonna be fucking awesome. My life is changing so fast right now, and also dismally slow. Oh my god. And so as I get ready to leave you to go print some resumes, I'm not ready to leave. One last thought. I'm here to print resumes. And I'm just talking about how, lean into fulfillment. Do it and it'll come. Say it and it'll come. And then I'm like, yeah. Anyways, I'm different though. I need to go print resumes to go work at a coffee shop. Are you for real right now? Like, are you dead ass? You just spent, 40 plus minutes talking about divinity and being true to self. And then you're going to go cop out by turning off the computer and going to lean into what's easiest and what's most comfortable, which is getting an easy paycheck. It's not easy by any means, actually. It's probably the hardest. Anyways. Why? I'm still going to go print them because I feel like it would be fiscally irresponsible of me to not do that, as well as to welcome any type of new change in my life. because I need that shit. I'm so over this shit right now. Complacency is not for me. Anytime I'm not enjoying myself in a place that does not have to be placing, I gotta go. And I know I have too many resources. I know that there's too much going on in terms of the realms of possibility for me to just be like, oh, what? Guess I just have to do that. Shut up, bitch. You don't have to do fucking anything that you don't want to do. And there's always opportunity to start over. There's always room to do something new. And you never know. And so maybe the goal is just to make another resume that has things that I actually like on it, like a music resume. Why am I reasoning with it? Who am I reasoning with? Do they have any questions about that in here? Who am I talking to? Guys, I feel chopped. I feel chopped and unk. Granted, I'm PMSing. But I'm in this goddamn podcast room with no fucking makeup on, and my girlfriend is probably inevitably gonna get me sick because she is at home rotting right now. Roti fam. Ich kann, bro. I don't know, man. People are always telling me, fuck, you're so great. Thanks for being you and for showing up and showing me that people can do that shit. I'm here again, y'all. I don't know. I feel like Michael Bublé in the Just Haven't Met You Yet music video where he's like dancing over the top of the freezer. That's how I feel in the podcast room. Anyways, I'm gonna say that is enough for today. I'm gonna go get the rest of my things done and finish my week 3 journaling for Artist's Way, as well as maybe try to conceive a plan for another release. Today's recording date is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, and it's a beautiful, mild day outside, so I think I will kick fucking rocks, dude. Thank you so much for fucking being here with me, and this is gonna be awesome. Thank you for believing me. And if you're new here, welcome to T Steele Worldwide, where we do any and fucking everything that we feel, because that's just how it goes around here. No time for anything else, actually. It's already limited, and the time is gonna pass anyways, as we've heard. So peace, love, and prosperity. Tap in with this shit. It's fucking phenomenal. It'll change your life, even if you're a fucking mechanic. Like, I think the more that we're tapped into why we are and who we are and how we are, we can alchemize that bitch. Alright, yeah. Peace, love, prosperity. T Steele. This is SEV'N Radio. Peace.